Hello, everybody. Very warm welcome to today's Onepoint Oneness meditation session. For those of you who are new, my name is Matthew. Very warm welcome. And we started this Oneness project a year ago now. And the idea came because many of us at Onepoint Consulting have a regular daily practice of meditation that we find really beneficial. And we thought it would be a good idea to share insights into meditation practice and methods and the whole positive thinking arena with a wider audience so more people could benefit. And so Onepoint Oneness was born. And we've been very fortunate that we've had some amazing guest speakers over the last year, all of whom are experienced meditators and practitioners themselves. And today is no exception. So I'd like to welcome Christine Bell to join us. Hi, Christine. Warm welcome. So Christine has been a student and teacher of Raj Yoga meditation for over 30 years. And she's currently based at the National Coordinating Office in London, where she's part of a team responsible for organising and publicising many personal development related courses, lectures and seminars. She's a member of the Raj Yoga Teachers Group and gives occasional talks in London and around the UK, which are renowned for their blend of humour, honesty and insight. Christine is also a mother of 3 grown-up children, has 3 granddaughters, and works flat lettings agency, I think courtesy of COVID, is currently on furlough. So, well, it's giving you time to be here today. So that's good for all of us. So I'll hand over to you. And today you're covering the topic, I should say, the balance of lightness and responsibility, the topic. So over to you, Christine. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Matthew, for the introduction. I always try not to flinch at this over 30 years bit and probably knock a few years off often. I feel as if I should be more sort of elevated. However, I am just myself, so this is who you've got. Yeah, I chose this topic. Maybe it should be the other way around, but it doesn't matter. Because I feel that I've always had this quality of responsibility. Always, really. I kind of smile sometimes and think, well, maybe it was written on my forehead at birth. But I only began to think about it when I came onto this spiritual path, became more self-aware, as I wasn't at all self-aware before that, or not much, and also became part of gatherings, which sometimes were discussing and sharing qualities, different positive qualities. Matthew said about honesty being one of my characteristics. So I'm going to say, to be honest, I was probably less than grateful and gracious about having this quality of responsibility, because responsible along with reliable and conscientious may look good on job applications and references, but actually I would much rather have been seen as adventurous or innovative or spontaneous, much rather. However, responsible was what stuck. Not only responsible, to be fair, but definitely responsible was always there. And having said that, being responsible definitely draws one quality which is very important to me in lots of different ways, and that is trust. So that's, I'm sure, completely recognizable to all of you. If you're with somebody or working with somebody who is responsible, reliable, conscientious, you're quite likely to trust them. But the downside of that is that you generally get asked to do more. I think there's a saying about that, about the people you ask when you want something done are probably people who are doing a lot already. So go something along that lines, I think. But you tend to get more to do and more responsibilities. So it's a mixed picture. But there was 3 kind of new things. I'm going back a bit, but 3 new aspects which came my way in one form or another, which really changed my attitude towards responsibility and me, or me and responsibility. And firstly, I kind of, having tried to get rid of it or reject it or replace it for such a lot of years, I finally accepted that responsibility was here to stay. And, you know, in that way, that acceptance often works in all sorts of areas of our life. Kind of new possibilities began to open up for me. So that's firstly. Secondly, what nobody wants, and I certainly didn't want and don't want, is responsibility carried with heaviness, weighty, onerous, a burden, you know, like the shoulders sag, don't they? Even hearing words like that. But a sweeter, more harmonious relationship is responsibility aligned with lightness. And it was a bit of an aha moment for me. Sound a bit like Mike George, who I'm sure you've had on your program as part of your Oneness project. Bit of an aha moment for me when I heard or understood that it wasn't a matter of throwing out responsibility. But, and this was really important for me, and I hadn't thought about it at all. Not a question of throwing out responsibility, but finding a positive balance. In this case, lightness, which, like responsibility, has companions or friends. Lightness has lots of companions, but the 2 I'm going to give you are really important ones. They're easiness and freedom. I'll take that up in a minute. And this balance of lightness and responsibility does lots of things, but what it did for me is it's restored responsibility to a more productive, but also much more attractive form. And freedom, which I've mentioned goes along with lightness often, includes something which is really important, and it relates to something I said earlier about more work to do if you're trusted, is freedom includes the ability to say no, which I think has taken me a long time on this spiritual path, or a long time generally in my life, to learn how to do that properly. And in essence, if saying no comes from a place of self-awareness, but also self-respect, then no is a complete sentence. Sounds a bit funny, that, doesn't it? It was the title of a talk, actually, but I really remembered it. No is a complete sentence. In other words, it doesn't need, which we often throw in if we're not comfortable with saying no, it doesn't need justification or excuses. And I think this is really important. And thirdly, that was my second, thirdly, responsibility assumed a whole new meaning for me when I heard it turned around into the ability to respond. And I'm sure for many of you, that's not a new thing I'm telling you or saying to you. But it might not be for everybody, and it doesn't matter, because I think it's so important. So responsibility, but turn it around And it's the ability to respond, not react, which is what we often do. And we know the consequences of that, but respond, more measured, more thoughtful, more positive. So the ability to respond, and especially in times like this, in days like this, who wouldn't want that ability? And especially when, you know, I'm introducing lots of packages with 2 other qualities come with it. And that is resilience, which we hear a lot about, and resourcefulness. So that's my 3 things that in a way changed my attitude towards responsibility. And I could say lots more things, but timekeeping, which I was saying to Matthew, might not be my strong point. Timekeeping is also a responsibility. So I'm just going to pose a couple of questions to be reflected on later if you want to do that, because there's not time to say more, and there's always lots more to say. So firstly, first question, what is the true nature of responsibility and lightness? And do they have weaker sides? Going along with weaker, usually negative. So weaker, negative sides. Just for example, does the need to control others and situations sometimes go along with responsibility? And does carelessness sometimes masquerade as lightness? And I think both are the case, and lots more. So something to think about if you want to. And one way just to check this, check how true responsibility and lightness is does my expression of it, the balance or either of those qualities, does the expression, especially responsibility, does the expression contribute positively to my well-being, to the well-being of others, and to my work or whatever I'm engaged in? That's a very useful measuring tool, I think. And secondly, in questions to pose, because it does take some thought, and we're not always used to this idea. I certainly wasn't. The idea of a positive balance. We often do positive, negative, but a positive balance. In other words, one that you can bring in that will enhance the other, as I've spoken about a bit already. Bring it into a better perspective, into a better shape, into something I like myself better and comes out better for other people and situations. So how does this positive balance work? And I'm going to step out of the box. I said to Matthew, I might step out of the box, and I'm going to read you a story. And everybody likes stories, I think. I love stories. I'm very well known for stories. And the real title of this story is She Hit Upon a Mantra, but I always call it the I'm Sorry story. You'll soon see why. And it's very much about, in fact, totally, it's about responsibility and also lightness. And it is quite funny in parts, actually. So you are allowed to laugh, but I won't know whether you are anyway. But it is quite funny. So I'm going to read you this story. There was once a woman called Isabel Cartwright who always said, sorry. When she woke up, she said, I'm sorry, Charles, it's time to get up. And having made breakfast, she said, oh, sorry, breakfast ready. And then to her daughter, oh, I'm sorry, Kate, it's time for school. And at work, she said, oh, I'm sorry I'm late, it was the bus. And then, sorry, what was that? To her colleague as he asked her to make a note of something. At lunch, she said to the shopkeeper where she bought her sandwiches, oh, I am sorry, I haven't any small change, just a £5 note. And when a child scooted into an old lady on her way back to work, she looked into the old lady's face and said, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." She said, "Sorry, Willow," to her cat, because she'd locked him out all day. And looking out of the dark windows in the evening, "I'm sorry it's raining," as if she were responsible for the weather. "I'm sorry," she said, as the phone rang disturbing the family meal. And then when she went up last to bed and fell up the stairs by mistake, again, "Oh, I'm sorry," as though her foot might have harmed the soft red stair carpet. One day, her daughter Kate said, "Mummy, why do you keep saying sorry?" And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, I really don't know. I'll try and stop it." So for a week, she tried an experiment. She banned the word from her lips, even from her thoughts, and she just wouldn't allow herself to say it. Now, as you know, it's not easy to change a habit, especially one you didn't know you had. So she often found herself beginning to say it. As her husband woke in the morning, she began, "Oh, I am," and then stopped. And again to her daughter, she looked reluctant to face the school day, "Oh, I am." And to her colleague, "I," and to the shopkeeper, this time for knocking some tins off the shelf, "Oh, I am." And this way, she spent the entire week saying, "I am." And this had a peculiar effect on her. She felt a deep sense of calmness, as though in the phrase, "I am," she'd hit upon an ancient mantra meant especially for her, that chanted quietly could strengthen her mind, make her feel she existed for herself rather than merely for the convenience of other people. I am. I am. I am. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of something that suddenly appeared. Okay, sorry. That was an intruder. I am. I am. I am. She chanted it before sleeping, and then on waking, and as she sat on the smoky bus in the thick of the traffic. I am. She became quieter, more composed, less impulsive. One day, her colleague turned to her mid-morning. She said, "Isabel, are you all right?" And Isabel looked at her calmly and said, "Actually, yes, thank you. I am." I love that story. I must have wished I'd written it. I had a friend wrote it. Must have told it many times. I always like it. It's all about responsibility. It's self-evident. I don't need to explain. I'm sure you got it. Lots of unnecessary assumptions of responsibility, really, isn't it? Which is something else we do. So before I was going to tell you another story, but it's not time. It was a good one, short one, but we'll save that for another day. Except there won't be another day on responsibility. So before I do some meditation, just two conclusions, really, which I think are important. I spoke earlier about trust, and I like this concept of being a trustee. And it's a legal concept, but it's also a spiritual one, spiritual term. And what it means is that I remain responsible, fulfilling all my duties with attention and hopefully quality, but I'm light and I'm free, because those duties don't belong to me. They're not mine. And mine is a very short and very commonly used word. but it's a very big trap. And secondly, which is also, I think, really important, if I hold this balance of lightness and responsibility, I let it become so familiar, so ingrained in me that I don't even notice anymore. Like, that's how I operate, that's how I live, that's how I relate to others in whatever situation. If I hold this balance of lightness and responsibility, I can allow, accept, welcome even the contribution of others, and I can help them to grow. So that's my take on it for today. There's always lots more. So I'm still responsible. Most people would recognize that. But I don't reject it anymore. I'm happy with it. And it's not all that I am either. So I'm just going to have a drink of water and let's have some meditation. So we can, if you're watching live, which you might not be, you can just become comfortable wherever you're sitting. Your feet flat on the floor and just relaxed. And just take a few simple breaths. And in that story I read to you, it was about a mantra which Isabel Cartwright discovered. And a mantra, which I didn't know in the first place when I heard the word, means that which frees the mind. And I am, and understanding who I am, and what I'm like, what I'm really like, not what I do or possess or all those other things, which we often think we are, we often identify with. Who am I? I'm just conscious, living, light energy. And we use the word soul, but it doesn't matter, whatever. Self or spirit or consciousness, doesn't matter. And for me, it's been the most freeing thing, just this one unique piece of information. Deep information that becomes embedded as part of who you are, knowing who you are. That I'm not what I do and what I own and all the other things, but I'm light. And what am I like? I hold within me all the things that I look outside for. And we live in a world of difference, but actually we're all the same in the important ways, the deep ways, the ways that connect us all. And that is, we all want and look for peace and love and happiness. And to know that I don't have to look outside for those, though I might find them, and then they're gone again, and they were limited anyway. But inside all of us is a well of peace and love and happiness and joy and wisdom and light. And if I can hold that with me, so it becomes as natural to me as breathing, and that's not a little thing or an easy thing. Then my life becomes a joy. And I don't need to think about responsibility and things anymore, because it will all be taken care of. Will all find its place, its right place and expression. Just remembering who I really am and what I'm like. That I am love. I am peace. I am joy. I am light. Om Shanti. Om. I am. And Shanti. Peace, but also stillness, quietness, silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for that. Actually, it was a really wonderful session. So I can definitely say we're not sorry that you joined us today. It was such a powerful session, and I know for many out there, it must have struck some deep chords, because certainly also I'm feeling that, and will take some time to digest and absorb it. But I also wanted to say what really comes across when you're speaking is that there's such authenticity, because it was coming from your own experience and journey, and just feel that's so valuable to share and for others to hear. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. And thank you to everyone who joined us today, or who is watching the recording, as I know many do also, which is great. We have all the recordings available. You'll see links in the YouTube description and chat to feedback form, and also to our Oneness webpage, where you can review previous recordings and find out about upcoming talks also. And please do share this resource with your colleagues, friends and family. Often we think, oh, so-and-so won't be interested in this stuff, or and we don't share things, but actually it's our experience as meditation practitioners and teachers, especially over the last year, that many people who perhaps never considered meditation practice before are really taking huge benefit. So please don't be shy, and do share these resources with others. And to say, next Friday's talk, same time on the 11th of June, will be by Valeriane Bernard, who's going to cover Going Beyond Fear, another powerful topic. So we look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a great day and weekend, and be well.